Hello once again, friends. Jim Hale with you in West Philadelphia at the beautiful Ivy Hall, where I just conducted an interview with Cardinal Gerhard Müller, and as a bonus, I also got a chance to interview Princess Gloria of Regensburg, Germany. She is accompanying the Cardinal on his tour of the United States, and as you can tell, I'm pretty energized right now because Princess Gloria has to be one of the greatest Catholic women in the world today. What a delight it was to talk to her, and I want you I want to share this interview with you, especially to those of you Catholics who need a little boost in your faith right now. Princess, can you tell us, for those who don't know about your royal line, and people always, well, what kind of princess is she?
Yes.
Like, how do you trace your lineage?
Okay. I am a countess from a 1,000-year-old Saxonian family. And I am a countess in my own right, and I married into a very celebrity family of the 17th and 18th century because they were running the postal service. Mm-hmm. The Thurn Taxis family, as a matter of fact, you can see it in New York on the main post office, it says Thurn Taxis. The Thurn Taxis were the founder of the Holy Roman Empire postal service, and with that they became rich. It was the Emperor Habsburg who gave them the regal to transfer to the next generation and do not lose the license. So up until the 1873, they were basically running still the postal service. When the postal service was expropriated, mainly through Napoleon's new map of Europe and the new sovereign kings made by Napoleon wanted to grab this license, some of the countries like Bavaria and Württemberg gave the Thurn Taxis family, they took away, when they take something away from you, they give you remuneration, so they got land and, unfortunately, mostly the secularized monasteries, because Napoleon kicked out all the monks and religious clergy. They were expropriated, and now they had all this property. So in order to give us remuneration for the postal service, they gave us St. Emmeram, and they gave us Kloster Neresheim, Kloster Obermarchstein. So we got from Württemberg and Bavaria some of the property that the church owned before. But of course we needed that property because we had to survive as well, and plus the religious were gone. Mm-hmm. If they were not persecuted, they were gone. So the Thurn Taxis family became a forestry and a farmer, which we are until today. Today we still own a lot of forestry land and farmland, and basically that's our business.
Mm-hmm. Princess, you love the Catholic Church. I just heard this young man say that to you. Tell us about what the faith has been in your life, what it means to you.
Well, first of all, I was very lucky because my family is a convert family. As a Saxonian noble family, they were Protestants, and they converted to Catholicism at the end of the 19th century. Mm-hmm. And like all converts, they took their new faith very seriously. That's from my family side. But then I was lucky to marry into the Thurn Taxis family, who have always been Catholic, but very faithful, and especially the men. And you know that when the men are faithful, it gives the family a very, very solid grounding. So that's my upbringing, praying in the morning at the bed, praying in the evening, getting religious studies at home with my parents, but in a very easy and childish. We grew up with a popular faith, with a very child-friendly popular faith. And so when I grew up and when I started to realize that the Orthodox Catholics are endangered species, I started to get more interested in, because of course I was also a little bit faithful that is just running after the others, but I didn't have this passion. The passion developed when I realized that the faith was at stake and that they were persecuted. I met people that are only celebrating the Latin rite, the old rite, and they had no possibilities to worship in any churches. So my friend Alexandra Borghese and I started to make a lot of public relations for them in Rome, which was a good thing because slowly by slowly they got a church. It is the Institute Christ the King. We helped them a lot. And then, of course, later the Petrus Brotherhood also established in Rome, and we was also very close to them. So, but it developed because they are the real thing. And that's why the people come when everything is authentic. The people come automatically, right. and the vocation they had, and so on and so forth. So with them, my faith became also more educated because I started to read more books. And then, of course, Cardinal Müller had an influence. He was the Bishop of Regensburg for 10 years. And of course, also Cardinal Ratzinger had a great influence. He was professor in Munich and cardinal in Munich, and Regensburg is right next to Munich. And my next door neighbor was Cardinal Ratzinger's brother, the choir master of the famous 1,000-year-old Domspatzen, the boys' choir. So with them and their friends, I was drawn into the religious world in a very friendly and happy, but I listened to their conversation and I listened to where they saw the church in danger. And then that's what made me a real activist, because I said, now we have to wake up and we have to actively promote the church, because otherwise later, on the judgment day, the good Lord will say, but where were you? And, you know, we learned the Nazi time at school, and we grew up with this accusation that nobody did anything against the Nazis. Nobody. So where were you? And I said, I never want to grow up to be asked later by my children and grandchildren, well, you saw the church going into shambles. Why didn't you do anything? I don't want that to happen. So that's why I developed my faith, and I go to church every day wherever I am in the world. And it's very educative, because that way you learn also about the different cultures.
Mm-hmm. Princess, gosh, I get so energized just talking to you. How disappointed were you when you read the motu proprio that came out in July?
I was very disappointed, but I also thought that the Pope is surrounded by people who give him bad advice, because it's like when you're in school, you punish the only ones who do their homework and learn very well. Yeah. And you know, there are so few people left who really believe in the resurrection and the real presence of our Christ in the altar sacrament. Why punish the few who take it seriously? I mean, I don't think really the Pope... what happened, I think, is that the Pope thinks that the old right people think they are the better Catholics, and he didn't like that. Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure that in his culture they are very good Catholics, but I always say it's like either eating at McDonald's or having a table set with a white cloth and beautiful cutlery and sitting at a nice dinner and properly and well dressed, or eating standing up at McDonald's. That's the difference in the liturgies. And I don't have anything against McDonald's. I like it once in a while. But I also want to sit down at a beautifully laid table also. And I think there's a lot of prejudice in the Pope's mind. And growing up in Argentina, probably they have a lot of prejudice. Also this thing against the rich. Why would the rich be worse than the poor? All humans are the same. Yeah. And you have bad people in the poor, and you have bad people in the rich, and you have fabulously great hosts with the poor, but you also have great hosts with the rich. Yeah. So right. It's not the money that makes the difference.
Could you offer some encouragement to Americans? We're feeling a little beat up lately, you know, like we've been taking a lot of abuse. Can you offer some hope and encouragement to faithful Catholics in America now?
Of course, I can always say that Catholic Church, the real worshipping and the real faith, has always suffered persecution, because the message of Christ has never been compatible with the government and the power of the government. That's the old battle between the emperor and the Pope. Of course, the emperor always wanted to control the Pope. And today we live in a time where the Pope thinks that he can appease the emperor by showing that he can be compatible with what they want. That's an illusion. We know this in Germany because the church in Nazi time also tried this strategy and it didn't work. They all landed in concentration camps. The same thing with the communists and the same thing in the French Revolution. Also in the French Revolution there were a lot of bishops and high clergy that said, let's work together with the revolutionaries, then we will be saved. You are not going to get saved. And if as a real Catholic, as a real Christian, you have to prepare yourself to be beaten up so far as to be a martyr. Now let's hope and pray we don't have to be a martyr, because we don't have the stamina. At least I don't. But we have to fight and we have to pray, and to be beaten up is almost a good sign, because that shows you're on the right track. Yeah. And America has been always a superpower, and America is the last guardian of the free world. So everything lies on the shoulder of the American people. And of course we know that the devil is at hard work here, and that all the new ideologies, such as climate change or the whole LGBT agenda, is nothing else than the vehicle for a radical government-centered government. It's a top-down approach where the government controls everything and you basically follow what they will give you. And that was never possible with the Catholics, because the Catholics say, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but give to God what is for God. And we always have our conscience. And if our conscience tells us we cannot do this or that, then we will not obey. And that makes us the enemy of a totalitarian government.
There you go.
I hope this is a good encouragement, but I'm not so sure.
Thank you so much, Princess. God bless you.
Thank you very much.